Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University. An Amazing Spider-Man, issue number 13. I just want to get right into this comic book, man. So, this is Lifetime Achievement, Part 3. Nick Spencer is on writing, Ryan Ottley is on pencils, Cliff Rathburn on inks, Laura Martin and Andrew Crossley are on colors, VC's Joe Caramunga on letters. The cover art is by Otley and Martin, and a variant cover by Phil Noto. Stan Lee and Steve Ditko created the character. All right, so I know that this is a Spider-Man comic book, but as much as Spider-Man is in the comic book, as much as he does, as much as he is clearly and evidently the hero, the focus on the comic book was actually on J. Jonah Jameson. And how we realized that really hits us as a surprise, because it wasn't expected. I did not expect that at all. So when we find out the identity of the villain who's controlling the big-time robot, I was impressed. I was genuinely impressed by the way that they pulled this off. We get the whole story, and it all comes down to J. Jonah Jameson was responsible for this. Oh, very indirectly, extremely indirectly, even though his fingerprints were all over it for the most, metaphysically. What do you call it? He, I should say figuratively as opposed to literally. But I love how he wound up becoming the focus of the story. Somehow, J. Jonah Jameson has suddenly realized through all this time, ever since Chip Zdarsky did the big reveal, hey, Spider-Man unmasks in front of J. Jonah Jameson. Ever since then, man, I am so surprised at how much people took to this. Not just the audience, but the other writers also. I would have figured there would have been some kind of backlash, some kind of, blowback, something. Maybe people trying to, retcon it as quickly as possible. No, it was actually a really fantastic idea. You got to give it to Chip. Like, the dude, man, what a freaking great idea. And how many amazing stories, Amazing Spider-Man, how many amazing stories have we gotten out of it so far? And this is just recently. And there's so many more. I mean, it's mentioned in here, who's been in more, who has Spider-Man had the most tumultuous relationship with since his creation? Yeah, it would be J. Jonah Jameson. So there are so many stories that we can reopen, re-examine, reimagine, because now Jonah is on his side. I got to give it up to Chip, man. That is badass. Badass, dude. Anyway, Spencer winds up taking this comic book in a direction that I wasn't expecting it to go. J. Jonah Jameson is falling, all right? A lot of people are saying that he's hit rock bottom. No. Because obviously he's going to bounce back. But I know he hasn't hit rock bottom yet because he hasn't bounced yet. A lot of people always say that, oh, you got to bounce back, man. Well, you got to hit the bottom before you can bounce. There's no bounce in midair, just saying. So Jonah's just sinking, and it's great and sad seeing this, because I have the feeling, and I'm kind of hoping they go this way. Jonah has to really, I don't know if he has to necessarily get, suicidal thoughts or anything like that. I don't think it quite has to go that bad, but I really do want to see it get darker for Jonah. It's not just the idea that he deserves it, but he's really got to be able to understand even more. And if he hasn't understand by now, you're thinking to yourself, oh, he's never going to understand. No, it can get worse. There's so many people whose lives he's hurt, So many people's lives who he's ruined. And he's got to face all of those demons. He's got to realize that he's got to face. He's got to get to that point, like a real deep Buddhist who's just thanking the pain. You know what I'm saying? It hurts. You're gritting your teeth. You're squinting your eyes. You're trying really hard to fight back, the sense of nausea that's washing over you with the pain. And yet somehow you still find it within yourself to thank the pain. Because, man, imagine if you could feel no pain, right? Jonah's got to really face that. And he's sinking, dude. He's losing things. And every single time he seems to have a moment, like when he's facing off against the Kingpin in this one, right immediately afterwards, it's just a huge slap in the face, somewhere else. Wow. Plus, Spencer's love for the character and his obvious knowledge of the character of Spider-Man and all Spider-Man comic books is evident. He goes and brings back Nora Winters. What? Issue number, I had to look it up. Issue number 575 of The Amazing Spider-Man, if you want to go back, and it might be in the dollar bin. I don't think there was anything particularly great that happened in that comic book. But I'm pretty sure you can get it on the cheap, before people start hearing this video and just like, oh my God, I better get it. Yeah, first appearance. There's actually 3 first appearances in there. But Winters right now is the only one that's crucial. So, yeah, if something big happens with Winters, you're going to want that first appearance, just saying. So, I'm loving the dark path that's happening here. I'm loving the idea that characters who you weren't expecting to come into a limelight suddenly come into a limelight. Characters who Nick Spencer himself, people have said, that, oh, Nick Spencer, he ruined Taskmaster. It's just so stupid because he made him a laughingstock in what do you call it? Secret Empire. Interesting. I don't think he ruined the character. He made Taskmaster more interesting by pairing him up with Black Ant. I thought that was freaking genius. He shows up here, and he's just as badass as he's ever been before. Hard to imagine him as a laughingstock. And also, the book I read right before this is actually Black Widow. And I gotta say, man, of all the events that have come out, the really big Marvel events that have come out, or just comic book events. We're talking about DC also. We can talk about IDW, and some of their events that they put out there. I think it was Revolution. Of all the events that comic book publishers put out, how many events are still talked about today? How many events have spawned so many ideas for stories that are still used consistently throughout? The Black Widow story is still is still taking into account what happened in Secret Empire. And Secret Empire spawned more stories than, I don't know about Civil War. No, that one definitely bigger, undeniably bigger. But bigger than freaking No Fear, bigger than, I'm trying to remember all these names. But, bigger than freaking just about anything else out there. Siege, Secret Invasion, so many stories. And yet, some way, somehow, Secret Empire is a story, the event that's brought out more amazing stories, given more fodder for writers to write about than probably almost anything else out there. Hell, at the end of the day, even Secret Wars. Not a whole lot you can really do with that afterwards, right? You could say, oh, Venom's still going on. Yeah, that's one thing. One thing. So I'm loving everything that's coming out right now. Marvel is killing it. DC's doing a freaking pretty good job too. But I'm telling you right now, forefront of the comic books would have to be Spider-Man. I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. What a great time to be alive again. Because if you were a comic book fan in the mid to late 80s, and early 90s, when we had like 3 or 4 Spider-Man comic books out, dude, and we're kind of back to that right now. So enjoying the hell out of this, enjoying this comic book, all the Spider-Man comic books, beautiful, beautiful. Happy times. Plus we got the Spider-Man movies that you can actually get behind and wow. Yeah, I'm good. All right, guys, cough medicine. It's the cough medicine. I'm blaming the cough medicine. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.